I'm Kelly Hill, Executive Editor of RCR Wireless News, here with Christos, who is CEO of Boldyn US, here on the show floor at Mobile World Congress, Las Vegas. How are you?
Very well, how are you?
Good. So we're going to be talking a little bit today about some of the changes that you folks have been through and sort of the evolution of Boldyn. You guys officially came together under one brand in June, and so let's talk a little bit about what your priorities are for the US market and what's driving the growth.
Sure, thank you, and it's great to be here. I think our priorities this year for the business in the U.S. market is really aligned to our customers. And if you think about our customers, we have three specific customer subsets. We have the MNOs in the U.S., the carriers, and for them it's all about upgrading from 4G to 5G, rolling out additional spectrum bands, improving capacity, and solving connectivity challenges in new places. So a lot of our focus is around how do we do a great job for them and do it fast and do it cost effectively. And then we have another subset of customers, that's our enterprise customers. So for them, it's really about how do we solve connectivity challenges for them, maybe at their venues or at their locations. And that could be 5G DAS solutions, it could be Wi-Fi, it could be private network, all those solutions, but it's really aimed at sort of the private enterprise space. And then the third customer subset is really government. And so that could be a municipality around smart city initiatives and what they're trying to accomplish, or it could be the military, and we have a large business supporting the military and connectivity across all the military bases as well. So our priorities are really kind of aligned with those customer subsets, and as a company we're highly focused on doing a great job for our customers.
Okay, so on the show floor here at MWC you got some pretty cool models of some of the large venues that you guys have outfitted with connectivity. Can you talk about some of the projects that are ongoing right now in terms of deployments that Boldyn is working on that are particularly impactful?
Sure, I'd love to. So yeah, here we have some of our models which are big, large public venues, and we do a lot of business around sports stadiums and arenas, and we love to showcase those networks, and certainly they're complicated, and we're really proud of those and our customers that we have, particularly in the sports and entertainment vertical. But if you look at the bigger business in the US and you say, what are the biggest projects that we're working on? We actually have the two single largest wireless deployment projects in the country going on that we're driving both of, and they're ironically both in New York City. So one of them is specifically around the MTA and the underground in New York. And we're already operating the wireless network that's underground in just over 200 of the MTA stations. And we're basically doing a massive upgrade on that system. So we're going to cover with 5G DAS and Wi-Fi all of the underground MTA stations, which is over 400, so close to 500 stations. It's going to include a massive expansion to bring coverage into the underground tunnel segments, and there's over 300 tunnel segments underground in New York, and then also through over 20 river crossings as well. So when you look at the magnitude of that project, it's the largest wireless deployment project going on in the country. So it's really massive. We've got a great team that is working really hard on this, and it's going to bring great coverage underground to New York. And then ironically, sort of the second largest deployment project is also in New York, but it's the above ground in New York. So we already run the largest municipal Wi-Fi network in the country. We have over 2,000 link access points in New York that provides connectivity for everybody, and we're going to increase that to over 4,000 link kiosks. And then in addition, we're going to bring a 5G component to that as well. So that way it's not just Wi-Fi connectivity for people, but there's also a 5G component to it as well. So we're excited about both those projects. They're obviously multi-year projects. It's a massive investment in infrastructure in New York City. And stay tuned for that, because there's going to be some exciting stuff coming to New York.
Okay. All right, so you've mentioned sports and entertainment venues. You've mentioned sort of municipal projects. You've mentioned transportation. Can you talk about some of the top verticals that you see as sort of opportunistic for growth, particularly when it comes to sort of embracing 5G connectivity?
Sure. Yeah, I think if you look at the business and the different segments we're in, certainly in our large public venue business, where we see sort of tremendous growth is around sort of two places in particular. One is just around commercial real estate and the number of properties that need wireless connectivity. So we'll always do like the large sports and entertainment venues, large hospitality venues, but really if you look at the industry, and we've been a big proponent for a long time about working with property owners to bring improved connectivity to real estate buildings. And there's thousands of underserved buildings today, and with 5G there's even less penetration into those buildings. So for us that's a huge initiative. We are huge proponents of how big the private network opportunities are and why they make such great sense as well. So it's a big part of our public venue business is that connectivity. And then separately, we're doing a lot still in transit. I mentioned the MTA project, but We also have a massive project in San Francisco we're doing for the transit system there. We just did an expansion in Seattle as well to bring connectivity to Bellevue and Redmond on that system. We have a lot that we're doing around connected train as well, so connected vehicles in that segment of our business. And then we have a huge effort around sort of smart places. So this is like the link solution I mentioned to bring connectivity to cities and then to the military as well. So we're putting in massive fiber backbones on military bases that's providing connectivity into homes for people. We're providing great connectivity for the carriers with towers and small cell solutions as well. So it's a big piece of what we're focused on. And then separately, maybe the last part is our outdoor infrastructure. So if we still own and operate a tower portfolio, right? And we still own and operate thousands of small cells and several large fiber backbone networks, and all of that provides critical connectivity as well. So when you look at all those different segments of the business, there's a lot going on for us in terms of growing the business across all those verticals. Okay,
so you mentioned private networks. Let's talk a little bit about where you see that opportunity going, and so where do you see the opportunity? What are the benefits of private networks as you see them, or that as you're explaining them to customers, and sort of who do you see embracing that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the way we look at it, the private network space, there's sort of two primary customer subsets for that. There's one, the operational venues, and so if you think of like a manufacturing facility, a ports facility, an energy sort of location, those are all sort of non-public venues, but critical infrastructure. There are locations where connectivity provides, even small improvements in efficiencies translates to huge improvements in either financial or productivity. So those become easy ones for customers to wrap their minds around, what's the ROI for making that investment. It's either really easy to measure or is providing, critical communications that are needed that there's no other way, to get that. The other venue might be one where like a safety sort of driven thing where you want more connectivity so you can reduce any kind of safety risk to people. So there's that subset of venues, and I think that is a significant part of the private network market and where we're focused. And then separately you have the public venue types of locations. So that could be a stadium, arena, retail mall, kind of where the public is. And those are ones where the private network, it can provide connectivity for the mobile devices, but we're really looking at it as a solution to provide connectivity to things like mobile point of sale or ticket scanning or media devices. Basically the operational infrastructure that the venue wants for their operations. And so that's kind of what we're focused if you sort of think about two different venues. Now we're fortunate that we have a large portfolio of public venues because we've been in this sort of DAS space for a long time. So a lot of what we're doing is a private network overlay onto a location where we may already have an existing DAS network or an existing DRAN network or something like that as well.
Okay, so then what does that mean for Boldyn to offer that new solution? Have you, expanded the portfolio, I'm assuming, because, it's not just a DAS anymore,
right.
It's a private network solution,
Right, so we're fortunate that private networks are more similar to like a Wi-Fi architecture network almost than a traditional cellular network. So we've been in the Wi-Fi business for a long time in addition to cellular, so we have a great team who knows how to sort of operate and maintain networks and is used to thinking about how do we manage those networks into our NOC, how are we connecting devices to that network, so we're proactively managing all those networks. The private networks aren't that different than that, so we feel like we're already in a unique position because the culture of the company has been not just operating cellular networks, but operating these high density critical Wi-Fi networks as well. And then so like our NOC is already dialed into monitoring all those systems, so connecting it into our private networks wasn't a stretch. And then because of the global nature of the firm today, and there's a lot happening with private networks globally, we've also been able to leverage a lot of what the company's been doing in Europe and other places to bring that to the US as well.
Okay, great. Okay, so you are CEO of Boldyn US. Obviously it's an international company, but what are your priorities? What is the most important thing on your list right now?
Right. I mean, the most important thing is really focusing on our people. I mean, if I think about like what's our biggest differentiator in the marketplace, I mean, there's a lot of things that differentiate us, but at the end of the day, we get there because of the people that we have. And it's been a complex integration to bring 4 businesses together in the US, make sure we're coordinated and collaborating with the firm globally, roll out the new brand. And so we've really spent a lot of time on ensuring we can maintain our preferred employer in the industry status and looking at how do we make sure our people have the best opportunities for themselves? How do we make sure people have the right learning and development plans? How are they excited about all the new projects that we're doing? how are we keeping them motivated and excited and wanting to work here? Because at the end of the day, that's really how we end up with all of our sort of expertise in the marketplace and all the other differentiators that we have. So we're highly focused on our people and making sure that this is the preferred place for them to work.
Okay, all right, well Christos, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate the perspective, and have a great show.
Very good, thank you very much. All right, you too. Thank you.